Welcome to the CareClinic Pod. I'm Emma, and this is Jones.
Can you believe it? Some women wait like 7 to 10 years in pain
Mm.
before they even get an endometriosis diagnosis. That's just, I don't know, it's mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's wild. And, for those living with it every day, it isn't hidden at all. It impacts, everything.
And that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive, right? To really shed light on it, endometriosis, and give you the information you need. So let's start basic. What is endometriosis? Imagine the lining of your uterus, we're talking about the endometrium here, starts growing outside of your uterus. Wild, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it can be in places you wouldn't expect, like your ovaries, fallopian tubes, even your bowels. And this tissue, it still reacts to your cycle. So it thickens, breaks down, bleeds, just like it should, but it's got nowhere to go.
Okay, but how does that turn into such bad pain?
Well, this trapped tissue, it causes inflammation, and that can, over time, lead to scar tissue, an adhesion.
Adhesions, wait, like things literally sticking together.
Exactly, like your organs are playing a messed up game of sticky hands or something. And those adhesions, they can cause pain during sex, even just going to the bathroom, bowel movements, all sorts of things.
So not just bad periods at all, then?
No way. We're talking pain that just doesn't quit, really debilitating. Sharp, stabbing pain, aching that just won't go away in your lower back, your abdomen. And yeah, pain during sex is really common too.
It's clear that it goes way beyond just a few days a month.
100%. And it's more than just the physical stuff too. Imagine dealing with that kind of pain, but then you've got people doubting you, not getting what you're going through. It's rough.
It's got to be so hard on your mental health.
It really is. So many women with endometriosis deal with anxiety, depression, feeling isolated. It's really common. You're constantly having to cancel plans because you're in pain. You feel like you're letting people down, missing out on life. It's tough.
We've got to talk about that, the emotional and mental health side, and we will in this deep dive.
Definitely. And, to anyone listening, if this is you, you're not alone. There's help out there.
Absolutely. And the first step to getting that help is talking about it, right?
Right.
But how do you even start to explain this kind of pain to a doctor?
That's the question. Being able to explain your pain clearly, that's so important for getting the right diagnosis, the right treatment.
But it can be intimidating. What if your doctor doesn't take you seriously?
I get it. It's your body. You know it best. Don't be afraid to speak up and don't give up.
Easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
But let's talk about that. What are some practical things you can do to prepare for those appointments? I know I'd walk in, be flustered, and forget half the things I wanted to say.
I think we all do. Honestly, keeping a pain diary, it can be a game changer. It doesn't have to be fancy.
Wait, actually writing it down? Or is there an app for that?
Oh, there's totally an app for that. The CareClinic App, it's got a great symptom tracker built in. Log your pain levels, other symptoms, triggers, what you ate that day, your stress levels, how much you slept, all of that.
So become a data detective. I love it. Go in armed and ready.
Exactly. That way you walk in with your data, you're ready to have a good, productive conversation with your doctor.
Be your own advocate.
Right on. And speaking of advocacy, let's talk about the other tough conversations, the ones with friends and family. They might not understand what endometriosis really means.
Yeah, how do you explain something that's often called an invisible illness? There's nothing to point to.
Right. And that makes it hard for people to get how much it impacts you. You might be fine one day, then the next you're in bed, can't move. They don't see that.
Which is so frustrating for everyone. I'm sure they mean well, but those comments, oh, just a bad period, I get them too, that's got to be hard to hear.
Yeah, it's really not helpful. But that's why these open, honest conversations with people you're close to are so important. Doesn't have to be a big thing. Just, hey, not feeling great today. My endometriosis is acting up.
Setting boundaries is important too, I think. Let them know what you need, whether it's someone to listen, help out, or just space to rest.
Totally agree. Boundaries are crucial, not just for you, but for healthy relationships too.
And maybe share some resources too, hey, if you want to understand more about this, here's a website you can check out.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, and not just for the person going through it, but for their support system too. The more people know, the better we can break down the stigma around periods, and support each other.
So important. And it's bigger than just our own circles, right? We need more research, better care overall. We'll get into that more a bit later. Now let's talk about what you can actually do to manage the pain of endometriosis.
Sounds good to me. It really does take a multifaceted approach, wouldn't you say?
Totally. It's different for everyone. What works for one person might not for another. Finding the right combination of things to help, it can take time.
Which is why having a doctor you trust and can work with is so important. They can help you figure out the best options for you. Create a plan that fits your needs.
So let's dive into those options. From like a medical standpoint, what can people expect?
Well, usually the first thing doctors try are hormonal therapies.
Okay.
We're talking about things like birth control pills, maybe a hormonal IUD, that kind of thing.
Right.
Basically, they work by kind of like reining in your menstrual cycle, stopping that misplaced tissue from growing as much.
So it's like hitting the brakes on the hormones that are causing trouble.
Exactly. And for a lot of women, that makes a huge difference, pain-wise.
But what about those cases where meds just aren't enough? What then?
Yeah, in more serious cases, surgery might be on the table. Laparoscopy is a common one for endometriosis. It's minimally invasive.
Oh, okay. So that
Smaller incisions, quicker recovery time.
good to know. So during this laparoscopy thing, what are they actually doing in there?
So they use this thin tube. It's got a camera on it called a laparoscope, and they put it through a tiny cut in your abdomen.
Okay.
And that lets them see everything, the implants, scar tissue, adhesions, the whole 9 yards, and they can remove it.
So like a little cleanup crew in there.
Pretty much, yeah. For a lot of women, it really helps with the pain, makes a big difference in their lives.
That's great that there are options even when it's, more serious. But surgery doesn't always fix it completely, right?
Sadly, no. Endometriosis, it can be chronic. And sometimes, even after surgery, it can come back.
Ugh, that's so disheartening.
It is. That's why having a plan for managing it long-term is so important. And not just, like, medical stuff, but your whole life.
So that's where those lifestyle changes we hear about come in.
Exactly. Diet, exercise, how you handle stress, all of that plays a huge role in managing endometriosis pain.
Okay, let's break that down. I'm all about practical tips, things you can actually do. What kind of diet changes make a difference?
You've probably heard of anti-inflammatory diets. They're not just hype.
Yeah, but what does that actually look like, for someone with endo?
It's about eating real food, nothing processed, and avoiding stuff that causes inflammation. So, fruits, veggies, whole grains, healthy fats like avocado, nuts, olive oil, that kind of thing.
So like the Mediterranean diet is good.
Spot on. It's naturally anti-inflammatory and full of good stuff your body needs. And on the flip side, try to cut back on processed foods, sugary drinks, too much red meat, all that stuff that can ramp up inflammation.
It's crazy how much diet impacts everything.
It really does. And don't underestimate exercise either.
Yeah, but when you're in pain, that's easier said than done sometimes.
Yeah, sure. And listen, I'm not saying you have to go run a marathon. Even gentle stuff helps. Think swimming, walking, yoga, Pilates.
I was going to say yoga, Pilates, those are great because they're not just physical. They get you in tune with your body too.
So important, especially with something like endometriosis that can make you feel like disconnected from your body. Those practices, they can help you chill out, loosen up your muscles, even sleep better.
Right. And speaking of chilling out, stress is like the ultimate trigger.
Yeah.
What are some good ways to manage stress when you're dealing with chronic pain?
Mindfulness meditation. Seriously, it's powerful. Even just a few minutes a day can do wonders for your mind.
I'm a big believer in meditation. It's changed how I deal with stress.
And you can do it anywhere, no special equipment needed. There are tons of apps out there too, for guided meditations. Even CareClinic has a whole bunch, specifically for managing pain and stress.
That's awesome. Gotta love practical tools. This is about giving you the power to take charge of your own health, whatever you're going through.
Couldn't agree more. And, speaking of taking charge, let's talk about advocacy. Getting the word out about endometriosis is so important.
This is where it gets bigger than just us, right? It's a movement. We've come a long way, but there's still a long way to go.
100%. For one, we need to get rid of the stigma around periods. It's crazy, but it's still taboo. And that makes it hard to talk openly and honestly about things like endometriosis.
It's ridiculous that in this day and age, we're still shying away from talking about a woman's cycle.
Tell me about it. It's time we normalize these conversations. People need to feel comfortable getting help, no shame in it.
And that starts with education. Not just for women, for everyone.
Yes. We need to be teaching young people about reproductive health, including endometriosis. Imagine if they knew about it from a young age. Early diagnosis and treatment could be so much better.
Right. And we can't forget about research. We need more of it, more funding to figure out what causes endometriosis and how to treat it better.
Couldn't agree more. We need to be loud about this. More research, better treatments, better access to care for everyone with endometriosis. It's gotta happen.
This isn't just a personal thing, it's a collective fight.
And that's where finding your people comes in. Connecting with others who get it, there's nothing like it.
Knowing you're not alone makes a huge difference.
Huge. Online groups, local organizations, even just a few friends you can talk to, that support is everything.
And to anyone listening who's feeling overwhelmed, like it's too much, please hear this. There's hope. You are strong, you are resilient, and you deserve support. Don't be afraid to use your voice, share your story, tell people about this, and fight for better care. Every bit counts.
Beautifully said. Remember, knowledge is power, and you are your own best advocate. Don't be afraid to ask questions, ask for help, and don't ever give up on getting the care you deserve.
Yes. And hey, if you're looking for a tool to help you on this journey, check out the CareClinic app. Symptom tracking, reminders, meditations, info. It's like having a personal health assistant in your pocket.
Plus, it'll help you gather all that data we talked about so you can have better conversations with your doctor. Win-win.
And remember, your voice matters. We're in this together, folks. By talking about it, supporting each other, we can make endometriosis something people talk about, not suffer in silence with. Thanks for being here for this conversation.
Absolutely. Until next time, take care of yourselves.
It's about making our voices heard. Not just for ourselves, but for every single person out there dealing with endometriosis.
You got it. And one thing I think we really need to talk more about is the link between endometriosis and, mental health. It's huge.
It really is. We've talked about the physical pain, but the emotional side, the mental toll, it's just as bad, don't you think?
Absolutely. Think about it. You're living with this pain all the time and often feeling like people don't get it, don't believe you. On top of trying to just live your life, it's no surprise that so many women with endo struggle with anxiety, depression, feeling alone. It's really common.
It's like you're carrying this weight that no one else can see,
Yeah.
And it's easy to feel so alone in that.
Exactly. And that's why talking about it, breaking the silence around this part of endometriosis, it's so important.
So how do we do that? How do we start those conversations, make it okay to talk about the mental health stuff alongside the physical stuff?
It starts with recognizing that, hey, mental health, IS health, it's just as important as your physical health, and creating a space where it's okay to say, I need help, whether that's therapy, a support group, even just a good friend to talk to.
You said it earlier, knowledge is power, and that goes for mental health too, I think. The more we know, the more we understand about how endometriosis and mental health are connected, the better we can be at managing both.
100%.
And sometimes that means getting professional help, right? There's zero shame in talking to a therapist, especially one who understands chronic pain or women's health issues.
Exactly. They can give you tools, strategies to help you handle the pain, the stress, all the ups and downs that come with this condition.
And never underestimate the power of finding your people, your community. Connecting with others who truly get it. It's validating, it's empowering, it makes a world of difference.
It really does. Whether that's online, in person, a support group, an organization, or even just a small group of friends who understand, that support is everything.
It's that feeling that you're not in this alone.
Exactly. And listen, anyone listening out there, if you're feeling overwhelmed, like it's all too much, just remember, there is hope. You are strong, you are incredibly resilient, and you deserve support. Don't be afraid to speak up, to ask for what you need, to fight for the care you deserve. Never give up.
So well said. Those are powerful words. If you're looking for a tool, something to help you on this journey with endometriosis, check out the CareClinic app. Tracking symptoms, reminders, meditations, information, it's like having a health companion right in your pocket.
And it can help you gather all that data we were talking about before, which makes those conversations with your doctor so much more productive.
And remember, never underestimate the power of your own voice. We're in this together. By talking about it, sharing our stories, supporting one another, we can make sure endometriosis is something people talk about, not suffer through in silence. Thank you for being here with us for this incredibly important conversation.
It's been a pleasure. And until next time, take care.